better than your currency. Splurging millions, buying houses like Monopoly. Fucking 9 to 5, man, the money is a joke to me. Buying cryptocurrency, my money in the privacy. I make it rain dollars, they watch me disappear. I'm so fly, man, I'ma need some land again.
Hey guys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of the B.Invested Birchy podcast. I'm your host Nathan Birch, and this is the show unraveling the truth to the facade of the 21st century. We're now exiting the matrix and waking up to motherfucking reality. Chris, you're back again. Sometimes I feel when
Good to be here,
intro,
Nathan.
I feel like I'm doing the intro. I should be doing an auction. You know how I feel 21 bidder. Guys, here talking about property management again today with Chris from New South Wales Blink Property. If you have a property in New South Wales and it's not being managed via ourselves, you're doing yourself an injustice. The results that we're getting in the market at the moment, fantastic. We're getting higher than average rents. Chris was just telling me beforehand about some of the results that he's getting, and $40 a week, $50 a week, extra rents for investors. That all adds into the bottom line, especially when we're in a world where people are getting pinched with higher inflation, higher interest rates, and all that sort of stuff. Extra rent is fantastic, and having a proactive property manager is really, really important. And thanks for coming back again, Chris. Today, I think we've talked about how to get extra rents and putting up rents and all that sort of stuff. People quite often ask, should I do a renovation on a property, right? Should I change the carpet? Should I do a paint? Should I do a reno? Should I replace the bathroom? And I guess the question is like, I've got a view on when people should be doing those sorts of things. Generally, when they're completely fucked. But no, I have a view on when I do it. So, like, if there's a lot of things for me personally, I think I need to do carpet and paint, or have to do a bathroom and paint, or bathroom and carpet. I don't want to change the carpet and change the bathroom and not paint the thing, right? So I'd rather just do the whole thing, and it's like I throw a few more grand at it, and you put the carpet down, you have to go paint it next year. It's really not cool.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. There is a process behind renovations, processes and procedures that can save you money and it can cost you money.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And stacking those the tradies as well. Like, I've got that property that is a very old house, and it's being rented for like $1,000 a week, and the bathroom, the piers were bad, the bathroom was bad, and I don't want the fucking tenants coming back to me and saying, the bathrooms, they've got all their stuff in there, they're an issue. So I just made the call that I'll re-tile the bathroom, but then I didn't want the bathroom getting affected again. I thought I'd pack up the floor and just make it all nice. What would be the highest bang for buck renos that you would suggest, where you get the maximum rental return from, and how do you go about it?
Okay, in the Sydney market, we're finding that tenants are becoming very astute and are very aware of their rights.
Oh, okay.
They're looking at maximising their dollar, like our landlords are. What can I get for the rent that I'm paying?
Yeah.
And what we're finding is that properties that have difficulties with ventilation and heating will generally sit. Now, properties that have got 3 or 4 stories above them, or if you got a 4-floor building but there's no lift, the penthouse doesn't mean much these days. So having one down on the lower level is more attractive because people don't have to traipse up the stairs all the time. Lazy bastards.
That's when they're all getting fat.
But the biggest thing we find from a switched on tenant is that I want to be comfortable. I want air conditioning. If I can't have air conditioning, I want ceiling fans. If I can't have ceiling fans, I want windows that I can open, which means having fly screens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have to look at the property, determine whether it's suitable for air conditioning, and for the price of an aircon and the return that you get for installing one, it's generally the best way to go about it. The price of ceiling fans and the associated wiring is a good one as well, and you can ask more for sure. And the window screen, the fly screens, they're basically a given in Australia. Every property generally has fly screens on it for a good reason.
Unless it's the $450 shed that's
Yeah,
on the
true.
news all the time that has a few pavers and a bed in the corner, but yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of our new arrivals to Australia come from a hot environment, and their expectation is to be able to have their windows open.
Yeah.
And I guess from a landlord's perspective, if you can have the windows open with no insects coming in, that's got to be a benefit. So we find that we're retrospectively fitting a lot of fly screens and screen doors on ranch sliders and things like that. So that's a very good way to spend a little but enhance the value a lot. We're steering away pretty much from the ceiling fans as an option. So the central heat or the AC unit. Split system. We call it a heat pump or an air conditioner in New Zealand. So sorry.
Yeah, I call it aircon, but it's a split system.
So it's conditioning the air. That seems to be the biggest attraction for a property at the moment, especially in the older style unit blocks that we are purchasing. Yeah. If we can get those installed, it automatically increases your rent and your desirability.
I just installed a few aircons. Like getting the installer is the painful part, but like the aircon units are $600, $800, $1,000 to buy. So between $600 and $1,000. But then to install it, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to install, depending on the tradie and whatnot. So $1,500, $2,000.
Yeah, we've got a very good supply and install firm in Sydney that will cover most of our New South Wales operations, and for a 5 kilowatt AC unit fully installed between 15 and 1700 depending on the location. So it's not a great deal, and you'll get that back in your first year basically. It's
put on rent by $40 is you got it paid for in the first year plus some change, plus you got some tax to claim for depreciation
on all of those. And since you've touched on that, a lot of our investors do not seek depreciation reports.
Crazy.
We recommend them every time, but if you were to spend $400 or $500 getting a depreciation report done on your property on purchase, you're in an automatic tax break situation. Every time you put a new appliance in, it can be depreciated separately.
Or instantly claimed, depending on how you structure for tax and that.
Yeah, that's right. So that's just another little thing that we expect our investors to be savvy with our recommendations. So,
fantastic. So you can spend money on that. What about paint, carpet, like the obvious things that you can do to the property to spruce it up?
In a previous podcast that we had, we discussed the New South Wales insurance regulations there. So the life of a carpet, when it comes to insurance, is only 10 years. Mm-hmm. So anything over that is damaged by a tenant after a period of time, you've already claimed the depreciation back on it over that period, so it doesn't owe you anything. You cannot get money back on old carpet. So we recommend that you put in a hard-wearing 10-year quality carpet, darker colour, hides all the multitudes of sins, and a nice off-white paint that will do it all the same. That way you've got a fresh-looking, attractive unit for a good 5 or 6 years minimum.
With the paint, I actually use this colour called Lexicon Half, which is what's in the offices and stuff, which is pretty white, but I use that on every property. I used to use this colour called Whisper White, right? And how I cheat throughout the property is that I can paint the ceiling, I can paint the walls, and then with the 90mm cove cornice, which most properties have like the cornice in there, it leaves a shadow from wherever the light comes from, and it looks like a different colour white. It looks like a darker white, right? So when you go and do the painting, it actually reduces all the cut in. It makes it cheaper for the painter and the tradie to be able to do the work. And if I've got every single property, like all my motels are painted that, all my properties get painted that when they get redone. If you go through all my older properties when I have renovated like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they're all Whisper White, so they're a different colour. But I know that I only need 1 can of paint in my garage, right? Like if someone has a touch up on any of the tradie, I'm like, hey, just use some Whisper White. Just use Whisper White now, it's Lexicon Half. So it's finding a colour that's the same. And the same with the carpet, like always like, the grey carpet with those square things on it, right? Because then you know that if something breaks, there's always going to be some grey carpet with squares on it somewhere you can put into it. If you look at any of the bathroom tiles, they're always a 300 by 600 square tile. It's like Macca's when they make a cheeseburger or a Big Mac, they've got the same bucket of pickles that they're going to put onto the thing, right? And it saves wastage, right? Like if you've got burger patties sitting there, they cook the burger patties. It's been a long while since been to Macca's and being healthy nowadays. But they use the same patty for the cheeseburger as what they do for the Big Mac, right? And as an investor, you go buy an extra 5 square metres of tiles for your property, you leave that in the back of your garage, and then you've got, I don't have that tile next time, you have to go and get a different tile. You've got all these, you don't know where the tiles have come from, you don't know
quality,
wastage. Yeah, half a bucket of paint left over here, half a bucket of paint left over there. Just take that bucket and off she goes. So.
Quarter Spanish white. That's what all my properties were done. Quarter Spanish white.
Never seen it, but
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's good. And our painters now that we use, we are recommending, like we get investors asking, well, what colour should we do it? Should we do it nice and bright white?
Yeah.
And I say, well, no,
because it's dirty too.
You don't do white straight up.
Yeah.
You try and stay away from different colours for that purpose of economies of scale.
Yeah.
But a nice quarter Spanish white, or lexicon white as you do. All our painters that we use have got stocks of that now, so we can say to them, guys, we've got a unit to paint in Mount Druitt. They're onto it, they'll get it done in the weekend because they've got the stock already, they know what we want, and they just go in and do it. So the benefit of using our services is that we've got access to quality trades at good prices because we put volume through them, and they use us as a preferred client. So if we give a job to a plumber, it's not going to take them 2 weeks to get there to do it. It's done the very next day. That sort of thing.
And the other thing as well, like when you are doing some repairs, like I see people that go, oh, I like to have, like, people always, well, I pull out my FPOS card, right? I pay for things. Even my mum the other day, right? She's 80, bless her, right? At the shops, she goes, oh, pretty pink card you got there, Nathan. My favourite colours are fluoro pink. That's why your logo is fluoro pink. That's why I like fluoro blue, right? That's my other business. I like fluoro colours. It's just fun. I've got a fluoro green car, right? It's fun. But that looks stupid to a lot of people, right? I don't want a fluoro, like in my house I don't have a fluoro, it's very neutral and stuff. But when it comes to a property, just because your colour, like I've seen purples on walls, like maroons, like it's just disgusting, right? Like your view on what it is, like, and the things, I look back at tiling jobs, like that I'd done when I first started, like early 2000s, and it was like the beachy blue bathroom tiles on the floor, and your property dates at a specific thing. So you want to have a tile or a paint or a carpet which will match any furniture, that will match any design type. It's just neutral, so you can take out the furniture and everything will look good in there. It's like a pink shirt, a blue shorts, it's not going to really match. But if you've got a white or a black or a blue, it's going to match with each and every one, and you can make a nice outfit out of that. So as an investor, you want to make sure that you've got a property which is going to suit everybody's lifestyle, everybody's sort of colour schemes. Because I see people do green colour paint on the walls, and it's like an olive colour green. So it's,
And one of the problem with a lot of investors, if it's their first property or second property, or if they've lived in the property previously, they're emotionally attached to it. And they think, I'd like to do this to this, I'd like to do that. And you think, just scrub all that idea. This is your business. You just get in what you need to get in and not have all those fancy things in your place.
My property that you just rented that I was living in, I just wanted to pay their rent, right? It's all white, all Lexicon half of the walls, it's got all those. I hope they don't fuck my house up. It's my first thing, which we put all the processes in place, and pay your rent and they'll be fine, right?
Just get it inspected so we can see how they're treating your property. Okay, we do it after 3 months of the lease commencing. It's good for us to get in and see how our match has worked. Do they make it look good too? And are they looking after it? And again, just see how they're going, and if there's any small bits of maintenance to be done, easy to do it then.
And if you're an owner, don't go to the property, meet the tenant, and be like, I'm the owner of the property, right? And here's my number if you need anything, right? It's the dumbest thing people could do, right? Because it's like, they'll bypass the real estate agent. They go, oh yeah, this needs to be fixed, that needs to be fixed. And there's so many requests that come through on a daily basis to us as the agent, which will sort of nip in the bud and be like, okay, thanks for bringing that to attention. Like, they'll just want stuff for the fun of it, right? So there's tenants out there that just want stuff. And
exactly.
They'll just keep pestering you until you give in, and we've got ways of being able to deal with that. So, there's no need. If I rock up to a property, in like my Andrea saw me the other day, right? She the place that had no keys when I went there. I said, look, I've left it unlocked. It's fine, right? It's in a country sort of place, right? And the cleaner had gone in there and blocked it all up, made sure no one could get in the property. I rocked down there in a bread truck, right?
Okay.
I was hanging on the back. It's like a truck, right? I was driving in this truck. It's like a 1980s truck, and there was tenants coming in. It was an open home. I had a restaurant kitchen on the back. I had like chip fries and woks and stuff. And she's like, "Who's this coming in?" I was like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" I was like, "No one's ever seen that car, right?" It's if someone sees me, I don't want them to go, "Oh, he's the fucking owner of the property," right? Because they can pass judgment, they can do whatever. So whenever I'm seen, I'm just like, the owner sent me, or I'm the handyman or whatever. I'll call me whatever. The ego ain't there to go, "Oh, well, I own this," and if that's what gets people into trouble.
Yeah, and I guess there is something to be said. We've had in the past, we've had a lot of owners that want to do their own maintenance.
Yeah.
Now, they're not qualified. If they do something wrong and it affects the tenant's got the ability to say, "Hey, this job wasn't done properly, I want it redone."
Yeah.
If they take that to a tribunal hearing, it'll be, who was the qualified trade that you used? Oh, it was the owner. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You've got to pay for that. Okay, so this is a business. You've got to step back from trying to save $1 here and there.
Yeah.
Get it down, get it done, claim it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember my first rental properties out in Mount Druitt, and I remember I got into some trouble. I built an illegal granny flat on it, stuff like that. Council got up my ass.
Really?
My first thing, funny that. I still satisfied. Never do granny flats, right? They're just, it's not cool. And I remember I was working at a job, and I was working at a desk, suit and tie, cufflinks, all that sort of shit. You couldn't imagine that now. Tie clip. I used to dress really, really
I've
cool.
seen you
skinny shoes and
I've
stuff.
seen you in a tux once, and that was it. Yeah.
So what's going on? Birchy's been to court today, no. It's cool. But I remember, like, look at my hand, Chris. I look like a hole there, right? A piece of Rio went straight through my hand, and stuff like that. And it's like, I remember I was painting this house, my first house, and I was sitting there, I was thinking, like, fuck, like, I took 2 weeks off annual leave, right? What's 2 weeks going to be worth to me? It's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, whatever, right? $3,000, let's call it. And I could go and take 2 weeks off and paint. I could be covered in fucking paint, right? I could be cursing things, I could be doing whatever, right? But the reality is that I could pay someone that money, and I could go sit at my desk and not hurt myself, and keep my fingers clean and hands clean and all that sort of stuff. And I realised after doing that was like, I did heaps and heaps of work on that. And throughout the years, like, I've been to points where I've punished myself. Like, just before I met you and before you came on board, I'd punish myself with things like when I moved this office, and 4 or 5 years ago I moved office. Sometimes I'll punish myself, and I do lots of hard work sometimes, right? And a lot of people will try and scrimp and save and do sweat equity. The early days sweat equity is good if you have the ability to do it.
Or no cash flow.
Or no cash flow, yeah. Which is where I was years ago when I had to go and paint all the office myself and do all that sort of shit, right? And it's not something I wanted to do, it's just I had to do it to push through to the next level. But a lot of people will focus on how can I see people now, they're like, if I buy a property in Queensland, how can I renovate it? How can I repair it? It's like, I don't want to be changing tap washers. It ain't my job to change tap washers. I'd rather pay someone $100 to go and change a tap washer. I don't want to go and spend the time. It costs me that to go and drive to the property, then have to talk to the tenant and all that. It's not my job. I don't want to do it. My job as an investor is to go and buy my next deal, which is going to make me $50,000 from buying the property below market value and all that sort of thing. So as an investor, you need to know your position. Are you just a tradie that gets paid really shit? Well, then go and do your own repairs. Or are you an investor to create wealth? I don't think that the people that own Woolworths are out there fucking, painting the shop at the night time and trying to cut a few dollars like that. They've got a business and they run it as a business.
As a business, and that's what property portfolio management is. It's a business.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cool. And one last thing as well, is off the topic of renos and stuff, talking about people just trying to cut corners and stuff. I don't know if people really manage their properties themselves nowadays. So over the years, I've seen lots of people that manage their own properties, and then I don't really hear it. People don't tell me, but if someone was to manage their property themselves, it'd be the dumbest thing ever. Hey, like it's so bad. Like having a third party that can represent you. Like I've seen people back in the day that would manage a property, and they'd be getting $200 a week, where it should be $280 a week, right? And now it would be like $400 a week, but they're always behind the eight ball. They're trying to save $20, and whilst they're down picking up $20 and missing out on the $100 that's in front of them. And I just think
you'd be surprised with the volume of self-managed properties at the moment.
Really, okay.
You find that people are adverse to paying, the equivalent of 7 cups of coffee a week.
Yeah.
To have their property managed for the stress-free, for the peace of mind. They think, right, I can save $25 a week.
But the higher rent.
But the biggest question I get asked is, what is your rate?
Really?
And what is the difference between the rate that I quote them and what they want? It's generally only 0.5%.
Yeah.
And I said, well, really, what do you want? What's your expectation out of a property manager?
Yeah.
What do you want to be able to achieve by giving it to us? What you're asking me to save is equivalent of a cup of coffee a week.
Let's say half a percent on $300. It's like $1.50.
Exactly.
$1.50. You're gonna really fucking make a decision based on $1.50. Yeah.
And if they see that they can get it at 0.5% cheaper, they think they've got one over you.
Yeah.
But when people say, "Can you cut your rate?" and I said, "Well, yeah, sure can. But what part of the service would you like me to cut as well?"
Exactly. True.
Because
I always joke with, and you know this, Chris, you know this firsthand because you're in the business, right? When I set up Blink Property, I just wanted to do something good by managing the properties the way that I want my properties managed in the portfolio, right? And I didn't think too much about the business plan, but I realised looking back, if I ran a real estate office with a sales team, then Blink would be just an incubator for us to have listings, right? That's how real estate agents look at property management, right?
It's like the bread and butter cash flow.
Yeah, it helps pay the rent and shit like that.
Yep.
But when you set up an office and you have all the expenses, every time I need a new staff member, I need another 120 managements or whatever for that staff member to have. I get 120 managements. The revenue has to cover the new resources. So it's not a cash flowing business, right? I could do a lot more. Blink is like a charity. Like if we were to look at it from that perspective, like it's not a business that we're in that's like going, okay, cool, we're just doing it to make cash. Like it's a business because we're trying to assist people generate their cash flow, and it's not, where can you cut it from? Like you got $30 a week, $20 a week management fee. It's like you can cut it down, but you're going to pay it to any real estate office out there. There could be someone that will charge you cheaper, but are they going to be able to get you the $10 per week, $20, $50, $100 per week extra rent? Are they going to leave you open for litigation for whatever the case may be?
Exactly right.
It's I think that when shopping for a property manager, like our rates are probably cheaper than half the agents out there. They're probably
we're not the most expensive. We're not the cheapest, but we're below.
I'd say there'd be 70.
Market on it.
I'd say there'd be like 30% that'd be at our price. There'd probably be 50% that'd be more expensive, and probably 20% that are cheaper than us.
Yeah,
you're going to use someone, right? Make that choice.
And our clientele are investors wholly and solely. They're not mum and dad investors who have one property, haven't bought the house to them next door and just want to keep an eye on it type situation. So we do have that economies of scale where we can, because we know what we're doing, we know our market, we can keep our rates down a little lower. Yeah,
exactly. And I look at it as well as like we like the ecosystem of being able to help our investors. Like we help with finance, we help with legal, we help with property management and whatnot. It's important that you look at what is your property manager delivering you. You said beforehand we look after properties that like portfolios that have people that have portfolios in their of properties. There's less than 20,000 people that have 6 or more properties. I think it's about 18,000 people in Australia that have 6 or more properties in their portfolio. The real estate offices, they wouldn't look after all those properties, right? There's tens of thousands of real estate agents out there. The properties that we look after and the investors, most of our investors either have 6 or more properties or they're on their way to getting 6 or more properties, and that's their goal. So we literally represent the smallest 0.001% of Australians that do have multiple property portfolios, and that's very important because to build a business on scale and size, you need a team that are going to be able to help you make it scalable as well. And that. Cool. Well, I've got just a couple of questions for you, Chris. I had them here from last time, just random things to ask my guests as we wrap up. What do you wish someone would have taught you a long time ago?
I was very lucky. My father taught me the significance of money and the value of money. I think more along the lines of how to best utilise that money. Okay, so I always thought it was good when I was 18. I thought I'd look at buying a property in Queenstown, New Zealand. I thought, yeah, I'll be able to do that. My situation changed very, very quickly, and though I couldn't do that, it happens. But having a financial advisor involved with you at a very early age signals wealth creation.
Yeah.
And
that advisor, a lot of financial advisors out there try and sell, like nowadays, try and sell you insurance and stuff, but I think you mean like a mentor, like someone who can give you the
someone who's been there, done that. Like I've got 2 sons, and I like to think that we've set them on the right path through experience, and
that's what you can do as a parent. So So second question. One client concern you get asked about, like the concerns that people ask you, so like just something that people ask you often that you think is important that other people could benefit from the answer, would it be just
education for us is an ongoing concern with our investor owners. A lot of them get in with the right intentions of wealth creation, but they're not experienced with tenancy legislation. So I think the biggest thing for us is, why can't we get a rent increase done?
Because you're still
it's across the board. Or you've had one. Don't be too greedy. You've had one a couple of months ago.
That's funny, right? It's funny, right? Imagine not for the scenario, right? When you say it like that, how fucking dare the central bank have the right to push the rates up every month, but we don't have the right to push the rents up every month, right? When you think about it like that, it's ironic, right? So imagine we took it back to the banks and say, hey, you can't put our rent, they're never going to.
They can affect our owners in a dramatically financial way, but we can't pass some of that pain on. And it's not a fair or just environment.
That's why they try and make it hard, right? Like I say, open up the podcast with the let's get out of the matrix, right? And when we look at it, property, like the system doesn't want you getting out of the system, right? Like you give you power, you can just rebel the system and all that sort of stuff. But I felt like, I remember say before I became successful, like that's not a cool thing, right? But before, like when I was younger, I was like, someone said to me like, you don't know how you're going to be when you're in 10 years time, right? You don't know the person you're going to be in 10 years time. And I think the more that the more options that I've had in life, the more wins that I've had, the less that I give a fuck about the system. Like I look at the system, people feel trapped by it, but it's
Well, success breeds success, doesn't it? So if you feel comfortable in what you're doing and you can continue doing that, well, no one's got the ability to shut you down.
Exactly, and that's why they make it hard for investors, because when you are making money, you're self-sufficient. They don't teach you how to grow food. I've never seen anything on the news the last 3 years to say how to improve your health, how to be healthier, how to rebel a flu or whatever. So to get you out of the system, creating wealth for yourself and having cash flow from passive assets, they don't want you doing that, right? They want you to a certain extent, but not taking and winning from that, and that's why we have processes for our investors.
That's right.
And I guess the third and final question is, Chris, how do people might be watching this going, I love this guy, I want to get to speak to him. They've spoken to Carolyn in Queensland, they've spoken to you before, they may not know how to get in contact with you. How would someone find their way to you? What's the best way of contacting if they want to have a chat? Or
if you're an existing owner with properties, we have a general email address, which is nsw@blinkproperty.com.au.
Yeah.
Majority of our owners will have my phone number now too. We try and do touch points with owners to say, hey, on numerous things, it's either maintenance, it's either vacates, or it's just a, hey, how you doing, what's happening?
Yeah.
Because no owner just wants to keep hearing negatives.
Yeah, and you have that good dialogue with your investors to make sure that they're not just getting a call to say, hey, spend money. You're saying, hey, this is what we can do, this strategies that we've got. People want creativity and critical thinking around their support team. So if someone's got a property and it's not leased via Blink, I think they're doing themselves a disservice. If someone's got a property and they want to review their rent, or they want some tips on rent, like no other real estate office say, hey, like if someone owns a property, it's with the big real estate office names, whatever, and they're not going to sit there and go, oh, well, tell us we'll give you free advice, right? We're here, if someone wants to do business with, they do business with us. If they don't want to do business, they don't want to do business. But if someone has a property and they want tips for their own property manager of that, you're happy to give them advice. And
definitely. That's a big part of my role. We talk to a lot of investors that hear your podcasts, attend your webinars, and they think, well, I'll just give them a call and see what's up. Or I've got this issue with my property manager at the moment. I'll give these guys a call and see if that's true, basically. And we can either verify it or shoot them down. So we help out where we can.
So is it BDM/NSW@blinkproperty.com.au?
That's for new investments, new owners coming on board. Yeah.
It doesn't matter when you've got your property for your leases in 2025, you can still bring the property over to us for us.
Most definitely.
Cool.
Our whole goal is to make your transition to Blink seamless and to take the stress out of managing an investment property.
Yeah, that's what you do. I love you guys managing my properties because it's very, very seamless. You text me, you call me, I walk past you, you say, hey Nathan, what do you think of this? Sometimes you bug me up with 10 questions for me about different ones of my properties, and we just go through it. So I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you for your time. And
thanks for the invite.
Podcast. And make sure you share this with your friends. If you got value out of it, leave a like and subscribe. Google Play, Apple Play, Spotify, and YouTube every Thursday. Thanks, guys, for watching. See you next week. Bye for now.
Thanks,
Chris.
Good. All right.
Like Bilal said, man, we're stuck in the matrix. This my advice, don't care if you take it. The dollar back to die, soon to be hyperinflated. This my 2 cents, don't care if you save it. Joint be decentralized and you will see you been lied to the whole time, and it's the irony, cause they do the exact opposite. You become a slave to the system, enough your money, all they do is profit. There's no conspiracy theory, you better hear me. Crypto will set you free before the system does. I don't care if you do or you don't, but what I'm saying is the truth to the reason you choke. I've never been a failure, excuse my behavior. Keep talking, haters doing me a favor. They all telling lies, I know what they been telling you. I'm the opposite, the Donald Trump of Australia. It's amazing, here for the taking. My time is never wasted, just getting wasted. These girls say I'm really breathtaking. I can't